So by 1932, the German economy was in a right old mess. It was stuck in a deep cycle of depression where there was less money, less demand, fewer sales, less production, more unemployment. A lot of people were living in greater and greater poverty and becoming more and more desperate. Savers had lost their money, workers were being paid less, and 6.1 million people were unemployed. Now, we're going to have a look in this section at how the Weimar Republic, the government of Germany at the time, managed to deal with this. And remember that people already believed that the Weimar Republic was weak, partly because it had all those problems at the beginning after World War I, and partly because a lot of Germans just liked the old days where the Kaiser made all the decisions. Now, after the death of Stresemann, the most important person in the Weimar Republic, or one of the most important people, was the Chancellor. Remember, that's like the Prime Minister. And his name was Heinrich Brüning. And he was actually the leader of the Centre Party. I like the Centre Party because you don't have to worry about whether it was left wing or right wing. It's just there in the name. It was bang in the middle. It was actually the Catholic Party. So the Catholics in Germany tended to vote for it. But remember that Germany worked with coalitions. So in this coalition, the Centre Party was working with the Social Democrat Party. And Brüning's biggest problem really was the problem of the unemployed, because there were 6.1 million people by January 1933 who weren't earning any money at all. And the only money they were getting were unemployment benefits. Now, 10% were getting unemployment benefits. And it wasn't really enough. It wasn't enough to stop people from falling into poverty, but it was better than nothing. 63% were getting sort of other welfare or emergency payments, which was less than the unemployment benefits. And then 27% weren't getting any money from the government at all. But regardless, the more unemployed people there were, the more and more this cost. And that was a problem. So Brüning, in 1930, came up with a solution for this. The first thing that he decided to do was to raise taxes to pay for the unemployment benefits. The second thing that he decided to do was to reduce the benefits. He actually cut the amount of time that people could receive them for. So he raised taxes to pay for them, but he also cut the benefits to mean that they were less expensive. And the problem is that this pleases nobody. Raising the taxes really upset the right wing, really upset the business owners and the workers who were still working but getting paid less. They were really angry about that. And then cutting the benefits really upset the left wing, and it upset the unemployed workers and the people who believed that the government should be helping out more. So nobody really likes this plan, and among the people who don't like it are the SPD, the Social Democrat Party. That's, remember, the biggest party in the Reichstag. Fried Rice Eber's party, and so on. But they disagree with Brüning so much on this that they drop out of the coalition. And when this happens, it really causes problems for the German government, the Reichstag. It means the government collapses, and then it means that they have to have another set of elections. And they have to organise another load of coalitions, and then they have to work out who's going to work out with who, and it takes a long time. So when this happens, the Reichstag, which I've represented here with my very fine government building, has to break up and it has to be voted for all over again. And this is a real nuisance. So what Brüning has to do to make decisions in the meantime is go to the president. Now the president at this point is an old World War I general, who's in his late 70s at this stage, and his name was President Hindenburg. And if you remember back to when we did the Weimar Constitution, Brüning gets laws through and makes decisions by asking the president to use his emergency powers under Article 48. So remember, if it was an emergency, the president could make an emergency law under Article 48. And over the next couple of years, Brüning and Hindenburg have to use Article 48 more and more. So they use it 5 times in 1930. They use it 44 times in 1931, and then they use it 66 times in 1932. And this is all very well, but remember, it's not democracy. It's not about people voting for a government who makes their decisions. It's about a very small, powerful group at the top making decisions. And as this happens, because it can't agree and it's not really needed anyway, the Reichstag meets up less and less. So it met 94 times in 1930, and then 41 times in 1931, and then in 1932 it only meets up 13 times. And this really doesn't impress people about how effective and brilliant democracy is, really. Plus, Brüning still isn't solving the problem. In May 1932, he has to resign. So how does the Weimar Republic deal with the Depression? Not very well. It can't reach decisions, it takes a long time, and in the end it's not really acting like a democracy at all.